Some new details in an I-Team troubleshooter investigation. A woman was able to get the deed to a Raleigh man's multi-million-dollar home.
She was a stranger to him. Dawn Mangum, criminally charged in the case, and we've learned Mangum once again attempted to get even more information on that Raleigh man's home. Troubleshooter Diane Wilson here with this newest development. Hi, Diane.
You know, guys, if this case isn't crazy enough, we just got new video of Dawn Mangum going into the Wake County Register of Deeds office while she is out on bond. We are told she's requesting even more documents right there, requesting a home she has no ownership in. This video is from inside the Wake County Register of Deeds office. Several different angles. You can see Dawn Mangum walk in with paperwork in her hand and go up to the counter. We are told by the Register of Deeds office that she asked for a title search and for a marketable title certificate on Craig Adams' home. We first told you about Craig Adams' home after Mangum was able to get a deed to his 8,300 square foot Raleigh home. After our investigation, Mangum was charged with attempting to obtain property under false pretenses, which she has pled not guilty to. Prosecutors say Mangum filed this warranty deed to Adams' home in August with the Wake County Register of Deeds office. Adams says he only learned about Mangum getting the deed in her name after the property management company for his HOA asked if he sold his home. Apparently, Mangum contacted them to get gate access as the home sits in a private gated community. Adams says he believes Mangum's main goal was to squat in his home. When I talked with Mangum before she faced a criminal charge, she said everything was done by law as she thought the property was in foreclosure. And she believes by law she can claim an abandoned property. Once she learned the property isn't in foreclosure, she said she stopped all paperwork. Adams says foreclosure was noted on an online listing website, but it was a mistake and corrected. After being criminally charged in September and bonding out of jail, this is video from November 8th when Mangum went back to the Register of Deeds office and we are told requested more paperwork on Adams' home. But the Wake County Register of Deeds office says what Mangum asked for, their office doesn't do, so she left. I reached out to Mangum asking why she did this. She has not gotten back to me. Craig Adams tells me hearing Mangum ask for additional information on his home leaves him speechless, and he feels violated even further.
Yeah, you guys, it did happen here in Newport Beach. One couple is now behind bars, and it reportedly happened with Halle Berry in Hollywood Hills. The question is, can it happen to you? Well, tonight we spoke with a local expert who weighed in. Prosecutors say 59-year-old Ronald Griffin didn't just trespass on Halle Berry's Hollywood Hills home. He claimed he owned it and reportedly tried to change the locks while she was away. In a bizarre turn of events, the LAPD says when Griffin showed up on Berry's property in March for the second time in 2 months, he had a fake deed of ownership. Employees immediately called police. The LAPD says they contacted Berry. She said she did not give anyone authorization to have title of her home changed. Griffin was charged with a felony count of procuring and offering a false warranty deed and petty theft. It's a rare and bizarre crime that comes with a hefty price, one this Newport Beach couple is now paying after prosecutors say they stole $5.9 million by fraudulently taking over the titles of 3 Newport Beach homes they did not own.
You're going to come in here and going to fraudulently record document. At the end of the day, you're going to get prosecuted.
Orange County Recorder Hugh Nguyen says in the last 6 years, he's only seen 2 cases of title fraud. Both were prosecuted. He says it's not that easy. He says you have to have a grant deed, ID, a notary, and walk it into the OC clerk's office under the watchful eye of 7 high-def cameras.
It's very secure because people who record through this system are really scrutinized. They get their fingerprint, the DOJ is involved, and also in Orange County, we send out courtesy notice. Any transaction that's done that deals with real property, we send a notice to the original property owner's address.
And Nguyen says in 48 hours, that's the window in LA, Orange, and Riverside counties. You're going to be notified if there's any change to your title. If you get something in the mail about your title you don't recognize, he says, contact your local police department.
10 tonight, there are calls for legislative changes after our story on deed fraud.
Yeah, we told you last night about homeowners shocked to find out their property had been transferred to a total stranger. And tonight we continue pressing for answers about how this can happen information and what you can do to protect yourself.
KPRC2's Bryce Newberry joining us live from the newsroom with the questions that many of you are asking. Bryce.
Yeah, Andy and Lisa, I've seen some of the comments on last night's story. People are still wondering how transferring a property deed in Texas could be so easy and how it could happen to a homeowner with no notice. At least one Harris County law enforcement agency tells me investigators have seen an uptick in these types of crimes, and the only way to stop it, officials say, is for lawmakers to take action. At Celia Ibarra's Northside home, passed down over generations, the thought of moving has never come to mind.
Somebody can just come like this and just scam your property, take your property.
It's a shock she learned just days ago from a family friend and KPRC2. With what she calls her forged signature, her deed transferred to a complete stranger on March 20th. It was one of 3 properties that went to Helen Yancey, all filed the same day at the same time and stamped by the same notary. In July, Yancey also got the deed to these 5 acres of land, bought by a Houston-based surrogacy escrow company, now at the center of a worldwide alleged theft scheme.
How can somebody go take what you worked hard for, what you suffered to get, and hold on to it?
How is the big question for her and many homeowners, but for investigators with Harris County Constable Alan Rosen's office.
It's been easier for it to happen now. Everybody's kind of catching on.
It's nothing new. Notaries are supposed to authenticate everyone who signs the deed transfer and keep a record. But in fraud cases, investigators are seeing fake or stolen stamps, or licensed notaries getting paid off.
Start looking up your documents, do your research.
Ibarra's advice lines up with Constable Rosen's to check real property records regularly and ensure ownership hasn't shifted.
You just got to take those extra steps because our criminals are taking those extra steps.
They're smarter.
They really are. They've got a lot of time on their hands to come up with unique ways of stealing things that don't belong to them.
The Harris County Clerk's office, where deeds get filed, tells us under law, it's mandated to accept property document filings without discrimination to the public. That's why the law, Constable Rosen says, needs to change.
There needs to be another step when you file a deed with the county clerk that can authenticate the transfer of that property, because again, you're talking in some cases millions of dollars in property value.
And the constable's call for change echoes what the Harris County Clerk's office told us earlier today, that laws regarding property transactions in Texas need to be stronger so clerk's offices can make changes to eliminate this type of fraud. The clerk's office says right now there's really no way to catch a fake deed transfer before it happens.
In an indictment, William Baldridge is accused of fraudulently transferring the titles of 20 homes in Dallas, Harris, and Tarrant counties to companies he controlled. Prosecutors say the stolen properties are valued at more than $1.6 million.
I'm hopeful that he will be held accountable.
Attorney Carla Rankin represented Baldridge's ex-wife. She discovered the alleged deed fraud scheme.
We were looking for anything proven he had income, and I came across one of the houses in Houston. The husband had died in the 90s, yet there was an affidavit heirship that said that he died in 2015 or 2016.
Mr. Baldridge, I'm Tanya Iser with Channel 8. We first told you about Baldridge in 2019. That's him putting his hands on our camera. There's a whole lot of properties that have been conveyed to your company where people are dead or don't even exist, sir.
Please get out of my face.
This is the 56-year-old real estate investor being booked into the Dallas County Jail. He's held on $500,000 in bonds. Baldridge was accused in a separate indictment of selling 17 of those 20 properties to unsuspecting buyers. One of the properties sold by Baldridge belonged to Paul Dodson's family.
I really could not believe that the home had been sold. It was devastating news.
His great-grandparents died decades ago. His grandmother died in 2013. Yet their signatures appeared on warranty deeds in 2018, handing the family home over to a company owned by Baldridge. Prosecutors say Baldridge received more than $1.1 million from the sale of those 17 properties.
Just a shame that he would go to this length to try to do things to people, especially take money out of pockets of people who don't have a lot to give in the first place.